Hi everybody, I'm Ruechel, and welcome to the PCS Journal, where we sit down and chat with folks within Pinellas County Schools, mostly Dr. Michael Grego, who's the Superintendent of Schools, who's here with us again. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
And the holidays are fastly approaching, and are you ready for that? Is the school ready for them?
I think we are, especially our students and teachers.
I know it. They love their time off. So let's start out talking about some good news for many of the employees of Pinellas County Schools, that the raise package that had been talked about was approved. Tell us specifically about the raise and who it covers.
Yeah, last Tuesday our school board voted 7-0 to provide raises to many of our groups. The SEIU and PESPA, that represents all of our support staff, or everything from maintenance to bus drivers to secretaries to assistant teachers, and so a great number of individuals in our school district. The raise was a 2.55% increase in salary. In addition, the board agreed to take the increase in the Florida retirement system the state was passing to the districts. Instead of passing it on to the employees, they decided to pay for that too.
Okay.
Plus the increase in health care benefits so that it would be level. And so the whole package comes to about 3.55%, which is a very sizable contribution to, well-deserved too, by the way, Al, to all of our employees, our support employees. The board also approved the non-represented. These are the confidential secretaries, the administrators, principals, assistant principals, and many of the other supervisory staff in our school district, the same exact raise, the 3.55%. So we're real happy that we're moving forward. We're engaging our board and our community and our employees in such significant raises. And let me add, these raises have been, to credit of our board and to the staff, we've seen these types of raises to the SEIU and PESPA over the last 5 or 6 years. We've realized some of our lowest paid employees, we've actually had over 25–26% pay increase, which they very much deserve.
Over the last 5 years,
Over
right?
the last 5 years, yes.
Now, one group you didn't mention is teachers, and
right.
What's going on with them?
The PCTA is still holding, and we're still negotiating with them. And I have, I got to remain positive about all. We're not engaged. It is one of those, every 3 years we open the contract back up. And so they're very pleased with the health care and the salary, but we are negotiating and talking a little bit about the contract. Ironically, as a district, we're not asking for any changes in the contract. And so it is our hope and thought that let's provide those teachers the salaries and benefits that they so well deserve. As one superintendent, and certainly it gives me great pleasure to provide our teachers the needed resources each and every year. When I first arrived here in 2012, it was I and this school board that pushed for the first local regional teacher salary of 40,000 plus. I think you remember that, Al.
Right,
now,
sure.
Now we went to 41 and 43. We're pushing for 45, and I'm not going to stop until we could provide a livable wage to our teachers, and I want to continue to do so.
So this is a work rule issue then, right, particularly?
Yes, they're very pleased with the salary given the amount of money that we receive from the state. So we're gonna continue to hash it out, but I am convinced and certainly want to stay positive because our teachers deserve these types of raises.
What's the effective date on this?
Well, the effective date for the SEIU and PESPA is now. They'll be receiving their increase retroactive from last July. And so the next pay cycle for both those organizations will be right after the Thanksgiving holiday, which I am very pleased about.
Oh, sure.
It was always good to get a little extra resources and funds right around the holiday season. For our administrators, it's going to be the last paycheck in the month of December. And then we'll continue to work with our teacher union.
All right, school board, you got a bunch of new school board members, and it's just like all the elections. I thought I could pick who's going to win. I've got to stop trying to figure out who's going to win these things. But you got 3 new members, and kind of what do they call the brain drain, because we've lost some people that have been on the board for a long time. So let's talk about that. They've already been inducted now, and so tell me about the board.
Yeah, we have 3 new members, and one board member was reelected. Ms. Renee Flowers was reelected for a second term, but we also have Ms. Lisa Keene, who is a new board member, Dr. Nicole Carr, and Mr. Bill Dudley. Those are 3 brand new board members, and we'll start training as soon as next week, and I'm very encouraged. I've met with all 3 of these new board members. They're very encouraged to learn a lot and recognize that there's tremendous learning curve there, but this is a new job for them, and we are here to support them And I very much look forward to our new board.
And I know exactly where they stand on the issues because we did not one, not two, but 3 debates back to back to back with all these candidates in Northern County, Middle County, and Southern part of the county, so that everybody had a chance to vote and meet these people. And by the way, turnout was pretty good at those meetings, so it was really nice to see.
Thank you for doing that, by the way.
Hey, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Ernest Super also helped me out there, so we had a lot of fun from the Tampa Bay Times. A story near and dear to my heart. The Tarpon Springs Band. They are amazing, and they've done it again, and you got to go along.
I did. I've been there. This is my 3rd time. You know, the Tarpon Springs Marching Band goes every other year. So we won in 2014, and they were the national champions.
Yeah.
In 2016, they were 3rd place in the nation. And this year, they were 5th out of 109 bands, Al. And if I could take a moment and just a shout out to Chuck Henson, who's with Spectrum Channel 9, and he is the voice of Bands of America.
That's right. I talked to him and I told him we were going to give him a shout out, and he goes, "My voice wasn't very good then." So
it was great.
Yeah, he's been doing it for 35 years. So
it was great. He is a band guru. He loves it. Yep. He loves the students all throughout the nation. 108 of the top bands throughout the nation. And I could tell you one thing, walking around the Lucas Oil, it's in Indianapolis, a tremendous stadium that they turn over to the bands. Everyone knows where Tarpon Springs is, and everyone knows about Tarpon Springs Marching Band. So kudos to the school, to Kevin Ford, all of the instructors, the parents come out, over 100 parents that help with the props and the organization of moving such a large band, about 250 member band, to Indianapolis. They competed in Atlanta, they competed in so many different places to arrive in Indianapolis for the national stage.
And they won their division too, which is based on the size of the school.
I think sometimes we anticipate that or assume we should never do that.
Right.
The show is magnificent. And
not only that, the thing that it's done is it's raised the level of all of the other bands in Pinellas County, because the Bandmasters Association, I used to do the voice for them, and we would get a chance to see these other bands. And you know, East Lake has come on, Palm Harbor, Clearwater.
Seminole.
And Seminole, which was always there. So everybody else, they look at Tarpon and they go, we got to try to compete with them. So if you're competing against the best, it raises the level for everybody.
It's so true. It's so true. And I see it. We had a band contest local in this area at Dunedin High School, and I see the influence of various bands learning from one another, and that's what it's all about.
We want to give some shout-out congratulations to the kids from Pinellas Park High School who won the Congressional App Challenge, Charlie Crist Congressional App Challenge. What was that all about?
It was a challenge to try to create an app to help our veterans, and what better app, right? There's so many apps out there today, but this is an app to help veterans access services and resources that are available to them. And the students at Pinellas Park High School won, and it's going to be quite an honor, but they're going to go to Washington, D.C. They're going to demonstrate this app to the Department of Veterans Affairs and go in front of the U.S. Congress. So
right.
What an honor for our students.
Another thing I noticed in the notes here, and you know, folks, there's so many good things happening in the school district that when I get this stuff, it's like, man, we haven't got all the time in the world to talk about this, but we're participating in National Apprenticeship Week. Right. And in many parts of the world, apprenticeships are a regular part of how you climb up into a business and do well in it. And now this apprenticeship program is appreciating that too here in the States.
We are, and in Pinellas County, we're growing our apprenticeship program. 4 or 5 years ago when we started to focus on adult apprenticeship programs, we had probably around 40 or 50 students. We now have close to 1,000 students, adult students, young adult students who are engaged in apprenticeship programs. And these apprenticeships, both registered and non-registered, are a 4-year commitment. So we think about college and it's all one thing or the other, but this high wage, high demand occupations that once you get that apprenticeship and that card, you're really set for life.
Well, they usually hire, or at least companies are always looking for people that have some kind of experience, because that's always the rub when you come out of college. Well, what experience you have? Well, I was on the college newspaper. You know what I mean? Right. So, well, that's excellent.
So these are people who work in the trade and go to school at the same time. It's a strong commitment, but tremendous support from the apprentice agencies, as I said, registered or non-registered, union or non-unionized. And I encourage our young people from high school to consider it as an option. You know, people think, well, there's only one path, you have to go to a college or a 2-year school or a 4-year school. But an apprenticeship is a 4-year commitment, and you're pretty much set for a really high-paying wage and career for the rest of your life.
One of the things that I'd like to do here in Pinellas County Schools is give awards to Support Employees of the Year. And I apparently picked the semifinalists for that in the 2018-19 Support Employee of the Year recognition program.
It's coming up each and every year, and to your credit, you've been our MC for how many years?
Oh, I've done it for a number of years. There's been a couple of gaps in there in between, but yeah.
But it is a way for us to recognize the thousands of employees that support the assistant teachers, the secretaries, the bus drivers, all of those individuals, as I mentioned before, with those two groups that we're very pleased to provide increased salaries to. These are the people who are really the backbone of our school district that help out, food lunchroom service workers. And so we recognize all 6 categories, and we provide such a highlight for each of those. And we usually have it Feather Sound, and thank you to Feather Sound for rolling out the red carpet.
It's always nice.
For support employees.
I always take 2 sweet rolls. That's my pay for this kind of thing when we get done with it.
Thank you.
So Azalea Middle School students, they got a drone program. That's kind of cool.
They do, and what's really neat about it, it's the same program that they're offering at St. Pete College. And so for middle school students, it's a pilot's license program, and so we're pushing our students. You know, Azalea Middle School, we put a plug in for Azalea Middle School. It's a magnet program, and students choose to come for the engineering part of that Azalea Middle School. And this was something that was added to the magnet side of the house, where we're establishing a pilot's license for drones. And this is a new world with drones. And so people are looking for people who can fly effectively drones.
Yeah, and lastly, we had the Great American Teach-In again, and I did it, I think it's the 50th or 16th year in a row. And I did it with middle school students at Madeira Beach Fundamental School. That's my shout out to them. Although when I told them all the wonderful things I'd done in broadcasting, they go, yeah, but have you interviewed anybody we know? Well, not really, but it was fun. And the Great American Teach-In is such a wonderful experience for the kids, but also for those of us that participate, because we get to see the kids in their school environment and get to answer some tough questions.
Yeah. What I like about it is that it's a different voice for the day. You know, students, you have somebody coming in as a guest speaker. Think about when you were at school. You always got somewhat excited, depending upon who the guest speaker was, but thank you for going in there. We had the various occupations throughout our district come into the school district. But the other part of it is I love the aspect of having people from our community come in and see about our schools.
That's
Some
true.
who haven't stepped into public school since they went. And so I think it's a great benefit to both sides.
Yeah, I did have to compete with a horse, and I did not win. The horse got more attention than I did from the Mounted Patrol from the St. Petersburg Police Department. Anyway, how about that? Dr. Grego, thank you so much for your time. Always good seeing you. And thank you, and we'll be back with more right after this, so please stay with us.